What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. As you know, this right here is the vibe curator, Mr. Maverick. You have any words for us, sir? Um got a really cool episode today. A lot of conservation on this episode. Mr. Travis from allflorida.org. Um but before we get into this interview, I want to thank the companies that help make this happen. Bahio Sunglasses, Afleta Coffee, Free Fly Apparel, Temple Fork, Riversmith, and Loon. But we oh shoot, I forgot to talk about uh nah. We'll wait for another episode for that. But you know, until we get into this episode with Mr. Travis Thompson. Um, See you later. Mr. Travis Thompson's up next. That was such an awkward intro, but you know what? We're going to leave it in here. What's up, guys? Like I said in the intro, we do have an interview today from Florida. I'll kick it over to let you introduce yourself a little bit, Travis.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Travis Thompson. I'm the executive director of All Florida, fifth generation Floridian, and hustle for conservation in the state of Florida.
I think that's something that everybody needs to do, especially for conservation. I think this you might be able to weigh in on this a little bit. I think conservation is one of those buzzwords that a lot of people use, like kind of in like an Instagram caption, and I don't think some people practice some of those things. Like me and my buddy were talking about that the other day because we're avid deer hunters, and it's one of those things. It's like there's a difference between being a deer hunter and being an ethical, conservation-minded deer hunter.
Well, I like to say conservation is for seeking the proper use of a resource.
Okay.
Preservation is for delicious jams and jellies. And people confuse those two things all the time. They use them kind of interchangeably. Conservation doesn't mean we're going to keep something from being used.
Right.
It means we're going to figure out the right way to use it. Preservation means we're going to keep something from being used. And, you know, in my state, in Florida, like we see a lot of people interchange those words. And it, that's kind of a pet peeve of mine is I want to make sure we're doing conservation. I am a conservationist, which means I'm pro using natural resources.
Right.
Like I'm not against using natural resources. I just want to make sure there's plenty of natural resources left for the next generation or generations to come, or I want to make sure we're using them correctly when we use them.
I got you, dude. And I think it goes more than just kind of like not not shooting a deer that is a button buck or something like that. I think it's like it goes into everything. Whether you're thinking about shooting a deer and you got to be like, listen, like if it's not a good shot, don't take it because you could be letting a deer that's going to end up being a monster next year that the genes go on to another deer. It's one of those things. There's so much more that go into it, and I don't think many people realize that, especially on that hunting side.
Yeah, hunting and fishing. I
Right.
mean, and there's conservation sides of it too. Of um, you know, taking deer and using it as a management tool. Like you look at states where deer overrun a urban area, and like suddenly hunting's a tool. We go in there, it's a conservation tool is being utilized. Or on the fishery side, there's this belief sometimes in fisheries that we should not take fish and we'll just have more fish for forever if we don't take fish. Redfish is one, there's snook is
Right.
one that comes to mind. But the fact is, fishing exists because of consumptive use, which is the conservation ideal. Like the idea that we're going to take this fish and eat this fish is central to the idea of why we're able to fish. So, I get sideways a lot of times with folks on that because I think it's really important to stay true to the idea of conservation. That consistency in the narrative helps keep us relevant in rooms and in conversations that most people can't even imagine where conversations have to happen.
Right. So, can you share a little bit about how the founding story of All Florida and like what inspired your creation a little bit?
Yeah, so All Florida actually was kind of founded out of what we saw as a gap in conservation. We've seen in the state of Florida an upwelling of environmental groups, which are good. Like I'm an environmentalist, I just happen to carry a gun with me everywhere I go. Um, so we saw an upwelling of environmental groups that were kind of leading and pushing for conservation, real true conservation. The problem was that sportsmen and consumptive use were often left off the agenda, or we saw different types of agriculture demonized off the agenda. So if you go back to like the father of conservation, you go back to Aldo Leopold, Sand County Almanac. He says the five tools of wildlife conservation are the plow, the cow, the axe, the match, and the gun. Um, we embody those five tools. If it touches those five tools, we advocate for it, we fight for it, we work on policy for it, and we educate on it. Those are the things that we do day in, day out, is we try to make sure those five tools are protected. And in turn, those five tools will help protect what keeps my state special, my state wild. And
Right.
I work on some stuff at the national level, and I consult with some other organizations. I consult with the International Order of Theodore Roosevelt
Okay.
on constitutional rights to fish and hunt, but my heart is in Florida ultimately. And so when I look at what is going to keep Florida wild, this fastest growing state in the country, used to live here, like you know how it is.
Yeah.
Um, if I look at what's going to keep it wild, it's those five tools.
Right.
If I don't have hunting and fishing, if I don't have agriculture and ranching, if I don't have timber, if I don't have prescribed fire, my state's not going to be okay. And the
Right.
stuff I care about that makes my state special isn't going to be okay. So how do I ensure that that stuff's around a long time?
I think that like something you just hit on right there. Uh, then also your four pillars that we're gonna go over here in a little bit. I think we're drastically seeing that depletion of like the orange groves and like a lot of people throw this around, but like old Florida is slowly kind of like getting cut back, which is really sad to see. And because it's like it's one of those things that the development is unbelievable around there, and it's like I think it's a double edged sword. That it's a good thing, but at the same time, it's like we all like to hunt, fish, do all that stuff. I think it's slow. I think you know what it is, man. Like it stinks to see some of that stuff, and it's happening here too in North Carolina, where it's like,
Well, there's development's a fun discussion to me, and this is where I usually get hate mail from both sides of the discussion. But and this is something we do at All Florida is we will take the tough. I don't want to say we'll take the tough position for the sake of taking it. We'll take the tough position because it's usually the right position. Um, people are going to develop.
right,
The state's going to continue to grow. And if you read the Florida Constitution, I haven't read the North Carolina one, but if you read the Florida Constitution, um, private property rights are held sacred. It's in like the second or third sentence of our Constitution. So you're not going to say to this landowner, you're not allowed to develop your property. Like that's just it's almost antithetical to to the Constitution of our state. So unless someone wants to go change that, which there's no appetite to do,
right,
um, I think you're going to continue to see growth. The question is, how can you incentivize not growth? And that's where these tools that I talk about come into play. So if you're a private landowner, how can you make money without developing? You can grow crops, you can grow timber, you can grow cattle. Um, On top of that, you could stack hunting leases, you could stack agritourism, you could stack, camping, photojournalism, that got photo safari, photo tourism. Um, there are other alternatives that we could stack there. So one thing we talk about quite a bit down here is payment for ecosystem services or payment for environmental services. What if we paid you a stipend per acre? And I'm making this up. What if we paid you $3 an acre to have available habitat for panthers or available habitat for gopher tortoises or available habitat for black bears or whatever the animal is that we deem necessary.
Right.
What if we pay you a stipend, a dollar amount per acre for having your land open for public hunting? What if we pay you a dollar amount per acre for having a hiking trail through your property? Like, and so, you're not going to make your living so much. I mean, maybe you make your living on cattle this year because beef prices are up, but historically, like it's farming. There's years when
Yeah.
it rains and you got good crops, and there's years when it doesn't rain and you got bad crops. So you're kind of on this up and down cycle. So if we could figure out ways to create revenue streams to incentivize these private landowners to continue to keep their land wild, does that become a slow growth tool? And the inverse of that is, and people don't think of this as conservation, but it's a thing that we talk about a lot. The inverse of that is, can we figure out a way to incentivize development in areas that need development? If you've got a downtown area, I'm headed to Clewiston right now at the time we're recording this. I don't know if you've been to Clewiston, but Clewiston's a little podunk kind of
Oh yeah.
town. Um, we are all joking. We're going there for the FWC commission meetings, and none of us know where we're going to go to dinner because it's Beef O'Brady's or Roland Martin's Marina. Those are only two
Yeah.
restaurants. Sonny's went out of business there.
Oh my gosh, really?
So so there's a handful of fast food restaurants, but there's really not. So if I look at an area of the state, I'm like, man, why aren't we putting some more economic growth into this area of the state? Because it's beautiful, it's sustainable. It wouldn't overrun anything. It wouldn't take out a production anything. It's a really unique area, and so I think the question could be turned around. I live in the town of Winter Haven in Polk
Okay.
County.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
At Winter Haven revitalized their downtown and built up, not out. And so I don't think anti-development's the way forward. I think it's how can we work with developers to come up with better solutions? Because I got news for you. The conservation environmental movement, if you want to open up all of our checkbooks and lay all of our money on a table and then lay it next to one developer's checkbook, that developer's going to win.
Yeah.
And then there's 50 developers in the state. Why aren't we figuring out ways to work with those developers and come alongside them to say, look, this is the thing that's pinching us? And we've got to this frenetic pace in our state where nobody wants any development to happen.
Right.
But the fact is, there's infill development, there's development that was zoned and planned a decade ago that's happening. Like some of that stuff, I get that you're upset, but also, you know, our state does a pretty good job with conservation already. We
Yeah.
work on the Florida Wildlife Corridor quite a bit, which is this connected green infrastructure up and down the state of wild and working lands. Um, Florida's got more public land of any state east of the Mississippi.
Oh yeah.
Like we got a lot of good stuff. And you've been here, you've seen all the lakes and everything we
Yeah.
got. I mean, people want to argue about herbicide or they want to argue about this or that. But the fact is, you go catch bass in a lot of places in the state of
Oh yeah.
Florida.
You can.
You go catch snook in a lot of places in the state of Florida. You go catch tarpon or redfish or whatever. So we love to yell at the umpire when he gets a call wrong, but we don't notice the other 27 calls that were right in that game.
Exactly.
I think we do way more right than we do wrong. I do think development is a pressure. I think when you find a pressure like that, you figure out how to engage with it, work on it, and leverage it for good, not, you know, twist yourself up in knots and just waste your energy fight to get something you're gonna lose.
Right. I tell this to a lot of people. The state of Florida, when it comes to like wildlife management areas and public hunting opportunities and public fishing opportunities, obviously, they got it down. And the amount of WMAs and different ways that you can hunt, the different like permits that they have, the draw hunt stuff, it it is top notch. And like I tell it to a lot of my friends. Like a lot of my friends are doing the turkey slam. And I was like, dude, if you want to go and kill an Osceola turkey, Florida Florida has their wildlife management areas are top notch. They're there and you might have a little bit of a crowd, but they do a great job of like spreading everybody out. And that's one thing that I've always commended about Florida is their public hunting opportunities. But it's like you still got to do your homework, but it's all there.
It's it's not easy. It is crowded, but like I say, we've got the most public lands east of the
Yeah.
Mississippi, and um, we look at where we can leverage those private landowners. Can we open some of that opportunity up? If not, if not for a direct public opportunity, for some kind of public-private partnership or hybrid solution or whatever. And we're continuing to expand where people can hunt in the state. And it's like for a state where everyone's kind of, for lack of a better term, bitching and moaning about growth, and I've done that too. At the end of the day, we got a lot of places you can go spend a Saturday morning in the woods and have a shot at some game, and a lot of public land where you can go hunt waterfowl, like I love to do. A lot of places you can go fish and raise your kids outdoors, and so
Yeah.
it's a uniquely special place. I want to make sure that we get to keep it that way, and for generations to come, the special stuff stays special.
Dude, and it's cool down there. Like, a lot of people wouldn't usually look at Florida as like a waterfowl hunting destination. Some of the best duck hunting I've ever had was down in Florida.
I'll get hate mail for saying this. I believe the best public land hunt you can get in the eastern United States is Merritt Island National
I
Wildlife Refuge.
completely agree.
And I know that's going to get more people applying for permits and everything else, but if you can get a Merritt Island permit, now everybody wants to come to Florida to shoot whistling ducks,
Yeah.
and I could care less about whistling ducks. But if you just want to go shoot ducks, and I'm talking divers and
Everything.
puddlers, yeah,
Everything.
pintails and redheads and canvasbacks and gadwalls, like teal for days. And shot like Merritt Island is, in my opinion, one of the best public land waterfowl hunting spots
Yeah.
that I've ever seen.
I complete.
Like it's incredible,
I
and it's a
remember.
quota,
My bad.
so you got to compete to get in. But it's gorgeous, man.
Oh,
Go ahead. You remember?
I remember I was out there tarpon fishing. You probably know exactly where. It's a hot spot for duck hunting too.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say where just because I don't want people beating down my door about it. But I remember I was out there tarpon fishing, and it was like right before duck season. I brought a pair of binoculars with me because I was scouting some spots to hunt, and I want to go in here. I swear, I saw a pintail. I saw, get like you're saying, gadwall. Those whistling ducks. It's like people, like you're saying, people go down there to shoot the black belly whistlers, and it's like, dude, like there's so much more to fool with down there than just them black belly whistlers, dude. There's everything right there.
Yep.
And like I went back tarpon fishing when it was youth weekend. Honestly, horrible mistake, but like I showed up late and I was coming out, and some kids were coming out with two dudes, and they were like, I was like, "How'd y'all do down there?" And they're like, "Pretty good." And they hung up two nice pintail bull sprigs. I was like, "Dang it, man!" I was like, y'all got it good today. And they're like, yeah, we shot a bunch of wood ducks too. But that whole area right there, dude, I've seen some of the coolest things I've ever put my two eyes on wildlife wise. Right in that little Space Coast, Canaveral Seashore, Merritt Island place, dude. Like, such a cool
People
place.
they sleep on Florida, but I like to say Florida is a sportsman's mecca.
Oh, it
Like
is.
Louisiana says it's the sportsman's paradise. I'm like, I've been there. It's great. Like they got some cool stuff going on. But in Florida, deer season opens in the South Zone the last weekend of July.
Yeah,
So this year, I think it was the 29th and 30th was the opener of deer in the South Zone. And then we have alligator. Then we have regular deer, turkey, ducks, all that stuff. You could hunt something from the last weekend of July through basically the beginning of May.
yeah,
So you got May and June that you can't. And that's not talking about private land pigs and predators and squirrels on private, like, and then I haven't even touched on fishing, which we're the fishing capital of the
yeah.
world.
Fish
So
capital of the world.
y'all can talk about being a sportsman's paradise out in Louisiana, but the fact is, like, we hold it down pretty well
Yeah.
over here.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, like Louisiana, awesome sportsman state, but it's like what's cool? What's cool about duck? You go down there and shoot teal, and it's like, but other than that, it's like the teal hunting's good down there, But it's like other than teal hunting, it's like kind of like a and big reds. I mean, it's kind of
The
just like
redfish is great. I'm
yeah,
not knocking it.
yeah. I'm not
I've
either.
caught tuna off the wrecks before out there. Like it's a very unique place, and I like it. I'll go back and fish there again. But it's hard to get me out of Florida.
Yeah,
Um, you know, and I'll also say it this way: it's hard to get me to go someplace without mottle ducks. Which Louisiana has mottle ducks, but Florida mottle ducks are special, and it's
yeah,
hard to get me to go someplace that doesn't have snook.
yeah.
Like if you don't have snook, I'm not sure what I want to do with that whole situation.
Yeah, hooking a snook on a fly is just something different, man. It's like it's literally like I remember I was down there, the Space Coast, and I hooked a big snook. I swear it was like a dang. I hooked that thing up to a Ford F-150, and it just jammed the gas going the other way.
You know, there's a few scenarios where when I used to guide for saltwater fishing, most of our stuff was bait. But there's a few scenarios in fishing where I believe fly fishing outperforms anything
Yeah,
else. One of them is docklight snook.
so much fun.
So I've always thought about it with brim. Like there's certain times of the year where brim is just better. Brim is just better. Like you get them bedded up or something. You
Yes.
get a little wiggly leg spider or something on a fly.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you can wreck the brim.
So much fun.
But docklight snook, I believe when they're in there feeding on glass minnows, there is nothing you can fish with that is more effective than a little streamer fly with a piece of mylar in it.
Yeah.
Um, but that's because you're just back in it instantly, and you can hook them fish after fish, and there's no bait or artificial I can cast that matches the hatch as well as those little mylar streamers.
Yeah.
And then the other place I think where fly fishing outperforms everything all day every day is on baby tarpon.
Yes.
You get those little estuarine tarpon, like over on the Space
Yeah.
Coast or like up in the rivers and stuff. Man, with the right fly on the right days, like they're just
Dude.
you can't catch them fast enough. And there is no bait, there is no lure that's going to outperform a fly in those situations.
Exactly, dude. Those little ditch tarpon are so much fun down there. And dude, like what's kind of cool about it is you don't necessarily need a boat to go and catch them. Like
No,
it's unbelievable. I don't know any other place where you can go and really beat up on a tarpon without a boat. Not beat up on it, but catch 10, 15.
10. Yeah,
Yeah.
a double digit tarpon day.
Yeah.
You can do it with a fly,
Yeah.
fland.
And in a spot that you're like, there's probably not a tarpon sitting in there. And then you cast in, and it takes off like a dang rocket. It's so much fun. But let's keep going here. You know, among your pillars, woods, water, wildlife, and way of life, which area do you currently see the most urgent need for action and why?
Yeah, so what you're talking about is the all Florida pillars. We identified the things we work on as those things: the woods, water, wildlife, way of life. And so woods meaning land, water meaning water, wildlife meaning animals, both game and non-game. But the thing I think is honestly the umbrella to all that is way of life.
Okay.
And so to me, when I talk about those Aldo Leopold tools, all of those are man tools.
Yeah.
Hunting, ag, ranching, timber, those are all man tools. Like those are all tools that are aiding man. You're getting food from hunting, or you're getting food from cattle, or you're building houses and furniture from timber, or whatever it is. But without those tools, the way of life in Florida goes away.
Right.
So those are generational things. If you went and read A Land Remembered, like the seminal kind of book of Florida history, you're gonna hear about hunting, you're gonna hear about working cattle, you're gonna hear about citrus groves. Uh, those are the things that keep Florida Florida.
Right.
And so that's a thing that we focus on quite a bit is how can we keep a rancher in business? How can we keep a hunter in business? And in business, a hunter hunting? How can we keep, citrus around or crops around or whatever it is to make sure that the stuff that makes Florida special stays here?
Right.
I say it this way all the time. I've said it before on other podcasts. If you picked up Disney World and you stuck it in Nebraska, Disney's still going to sell out every day.
Oh yeah.
People will go to it. So my kids went to Disney World. I have nothing against Disney World. But the fact is, that ain't what makes Florida special.
Right.
What makes Florida special is the springs and the palmettos and the cattle ranches and the rivers and the lakes and the estuaries and the coast and the sand and the dirt. Like, it's a uniquely special place inhabited by uniquely special wildlife and uniquely special people that care about it.
Right.
So protecting that way of life ensures that all that stuff I just talked about gets protected.
I completely
So to
agree.
me, that's really where we try to focus a lot of our energy, is protecting the people that ultimately protect the things we care about.
Right. I think one of like the most special things talking about wildlife in Florida is the manatee. It's not every day you can see a giant sea potato. Essentially, I mean you see them, but it's like not as much as you see them in Florida. And
Right.
I remember, dude, hell, this was the wildest thing. I'm running the Harris chain. I'm on my trolling motor in Big Harris, and I'm pitching a chatterbait up, and I see something kind of like raise up. I'm like, ah, that must be a gator. I get up on it. It's a damn manatee all the way down in Big
Yep.
Lake Harris. I was like, there's a guy sitting on his dock, and he goes, "Is that a manatee right there?" I said, "You're damn right it is." This is kind of like an off the record question, but how the hell does a manatee get all the way? It has to come from the Ocklawaha River, doesn't it?
It does. It comes up through the dam. The dam's kind of a controversial thing right now. There's
Yeah,
some people want to
breaching it.
remove, some people want to keep. Yeah,
Yeah,
and ultimately the dam's old. It's going to fall at some point. So I think there's got to be some plans made around what that's going to look like. But those manatee will come up to the dam and they know the schedule. They know when to move in and move out. And so once they get past the dam, they'll go all the way up the chain.
yeah,
Like, I mean, they'll go way up the chain, as evidenced by the fact that they're in Lake Harris.
yeah. I've seen them on a Popka. I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them as far as a Popka. I saw one in Lake Griffin too, and I was like,
I'm
dude,
not surprised.
insane, dude. But like, yeah, what do you think about that whole thing about Ocklawaha Dam? I see like a lot. Like I said, I see a lot of commotion about it online, but it's like you probably won't see any of those people.
I I think whenever you look at any problem that's getting a lot of commotion online, probably the biggest gap out there in that conversation is collaboration. And so when you look at the Ocklawaha, and it's adjacent to us because it's a conversation. So it's a thing that we play in a little bit. But the end of the day, you've got this economy in that area built around bass fishing
Yeah,
on Rodman Reservoir. Um,
biggins too.
the appearance is all these people from out of town are coming here and say you need to take this dam out because that's going to be better for the environment. But none of those people live in Palaca.
Yeah,
None of those people live in that area and are dependent on the tourist dollars for their way of life, the tourist dollars for their you know to put food on their kids' tables or anything else. So it's a little bit of a, I think something's going to have happen to the dam because it's 60 years old or
yeah,
70 years old or whatever it is. Like it's in disrepair. It's going to need some stuff done to it. Um, it's also not as simple as you just take the dam out and everything fixes itself.
yeah,
So I think both sides in the argument get a little bit kind of wrapped around the axle, and I think like most arguments in conservation, it's very nuanced. Um, This one in particular, I think once we see some local buy-in and local support for dam removal, I think that's when you see some real skin kind of applied to the whole plan, and it starts to move forward. Until that, I think you're just seeing people going back and forth, and it's these two factions. They're not on the same page, and we got to get them on the same page, or at least they're here. We need to get them here,
yeah,
and if we get them here, we can get them here. If we get them here, we get them here.
yeah.
Like it's a little bit of, we have to figure out a way to collaborate and get people together on it.
Oh yeah, that's like dude, that whole area is like cool too because it's like a lot of people don't know the whole Silver Springs monkey thing. Like about that's all the Ocklawaha River too, isn't it? Silver Springs.
Yep,
Yeah, they got all
yep,
those monkeys that were put there from the Tarzan the Tarzan film, and they're starting to. I've
Yeah,
seen videos of them. Like I've seen it actually happen, like in a kayak where they're
where they
jumping,
dive in the water.
diving. My girlfriend is born and raised here in North Carolina, and she goes, "Have you seen this at this spring in Florida?" And I was like, "I already know what you're gonna show me." And she's like, "The monkeys?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That was 15 minutes from my house when we lived down there. When I lived down there." And it's just like there's not a place other than Florida where you can see monkeys like diving into the water like that. But like Rodman, something does kind of like have to happen there at Rodman. Um, dude, there's some giant fish on that damn lake. It's
It,
unbelievable.
it's a really cool lake. Not to go into herbicide at all, but like, on Rodman, they can actually use water levels to manage
Yeah,
the invasive
they
plants. So
drop
they
it.
can drop it down when a wind pushes it all to one side. I think it's when the wind pushes it all south in the wintertime. They drop it down and kill all the invasive plants by dropping the water level and then put water back on top of it. And so there's a lot of unique stuff to that. That dam was an ill-conceived idea back in the 60s, 70s. Um, so that's not the reason to leave it. But I do think there is some people that are dependent on it, and I think we have to take everybody into account
Right.
as we go down this road and discuss it.
Yeah.
Um, I'll pivot away from Rodman for a second, but like, and I don't know how to go, but at the time of this recording, I'm driving to the FWC meetings where they're talking about reopening the Apalachicola oyster fishery.
Yeah.
And there's some limited take they want to give to commercial oystermen in Apalachicola because you can't buy oysters from Apalachicola. And there's part of me that says, I don't like that idea. Let's keep it closed as long as we can. But then the other side of me says, well, I like to eat oysters. I like to eat oysters in a restaurant. And I
Yeah.
like to be proud that they're from Florida. And if we continue to keep it closed, what happens to those oystermen? Like they go away. They can't just sit around and not
Yeah.
make money for 10 years, 15 years, 25 years. Like they'll just fade away, go do something else. So there's a little bit of like, I'm not anti the commercial side of things because I think the commercial side has a place, has a value. And obviously, I consume, not just that, commercial fisheries sometimes or any and everything across the board. So I think, like I keeps coming back to, it's a little bit of a nuanced conversation around how all that fits together. I think Rodman's a little bit the same way.
Yeah.
Like there's commercial interests or economic interests that are in favor of the dam remaining. There's environmental interests that are in favor of the dam being removed. What's in the middle there?
Right.
Like what can we come up with? Is this a binary? The dam has to go, the dam can stay, the dam has to go, the dam can
Yeah.
stay. Or is there a gradual removal plan? Is there, a study done? Like what does that look like? And I think that's where we see it end up.
Yeah. It is kind of cool to see kind of like when I don't know if you follow, if I used to follow pretty when the pro fishing circuits go there to the St. Johns River, how those guys can get to Rodman, and they kind of like highlight that area a lot on the live feeds, and they're like you can get into Rodman, and is Lake George the other one that they always run into? I think it's
Yeah,
Lake
Lake
George.
George's. I think it's the third or fourth biggest lake in the state of Florida.
Yeah,
It's a massive lake.
yeah.
Massive lake.
Then that is kind of cool to see. Like I remember I used to go to Palatka for all the like Elite Series weigh-ins, and it's like they're still punching out big bags on the St. Johns River
Oh
out
yeah.
there,
Oh yeah.
and it's really cool. But it's weird. I think like how Rodman had all that exposure before, and you had people with like you start seeing all the out of state license plates coming by. Now it like kind of shifted over to Headwaters Lake over there where JT
Yep.
Kenny and all them grew up.
Yep. Over in Fellsmere.
Yeah, over in Fellsmere, I love that place. I went there. I went there twice when I was living there, and dude, it was so much fun. Other than my trim motor blowing the second time I went, but dude, so let's see what are some of your flagship programs and campaigns right now, whether it's for like water quality, land protection, wildlife advocacy, public education?
So a couple things. So couple of things we've hung our hat on is we helped lead the Polk Environmental Lands Program referendum a few years back, which was a property tax increase. It was like if you had $150,000 house, I think your property taxes went up $35.
Okay.
But that $35 had to go to acquire public land or working lands that were protected conservation wise, so that land that could never be developed again. Um, that was a really cool program we worked on, and then we led all Florida helped lead on Amendment 2 last year, which was our constitutional right to fish and hunt in Florida.
Yeah.
Um, so those are two things that we've hung our hat on. We do a lot of policy work, which means stuff that comes up because a legislator runs a bill. Suddenly, this coming session, we're meeting with legislators right now, figuring out what is on this coming session, and those will kind of drive some of our priorities for the next 6 to 9 months, either supporting or opposing bills that are sportsman related, ag related, ranching related, um, development related, et cetera. So, like, we'll get involved in a number of those, and those conversations are just starting to have for the next session
Yeah.
at the time of this recording. But then we do some programs that are kind of recurring programmatically, and probably the two that I'd like to highlight here is one is called the Florida Gallery, and that's something we're going to be launching a website soon, thefloridagallery.com. Which is a celebration of Florida artists.
Oh,
One of my
cool.
board members is a woman named Blair Updike. And so conservation art or Florida specific art that is environmentally oriented is Blair's heartbeat. And so she's a really accomplished artist that she paints the stuff I talk about, cattle ranches and orange groves
Yeah.
and uh, cabbage palms and cypress swamps and everything else. That's what she paints. And she's begun this collaboration. You can follow it on Instagram. It's the Florida Gallery at the Florida Gallery.
I'm about to look it up.
And yeah, it's really, really well done. It's at about 40,000 followers already on Instagram. And Blair curates it and does it. And she does these incredible reels with Florida history of art.
Yeah.
This is something we're invested in pretty heavily because we believe that art tells a story. Art connects a lot of people to things. And so we have so many people out there that don't understand policy. Policy is complex. It's nuanced.
Oh my
It's
God.
not fun.
Dude, the one of the
Yeah,
Panther is beautiful.
it's an amazing
Yeah.
thing she's done. So we're launching a website to go with that where people can buy prints. Those prints will actually contribute to operations for the Florida Gallery and All Florida.
Awesome.
Um, so it's a subsidiary of All Florida. It's a project that we launched, and we're really excited about it, really proud about it. The other thing that we are really proud about that we've been talking about recently is, and this will be part of our Giving Tuesday campaign after Thanksgiving, is we built this giant puzzle. It's 20 feet by 20 feet, and it's the shape of
Holy
Florida.
cow.
And on it, we painted the Florida Wildlife Corridor. So basically, the major rivers, the land that is already conserved, and then the land that is targeted to be conserved in the next 10, 15 years to ultimately conserve 18 million acres of land in Florida.
Yeah.
Um, this puzzle, we got 36 pieces to it, and the last piece is a human shape. And so what we do is we take the kids and we set them down for about 5 minutes, and we spend a minute each on those five tools I talked about: ag, ranch, timber, fire, and hunting and fishing, consumptive use. And we just talk to them about how these are tools that we as humans benefit from and we as humans do, but they help keep this state wild. And then we give them all these giant puzzle pieces. And I'm talking, these are kids. I mean, this puzzle's been put together thousands of times already in the last year. But these are kids that put this puzzle together, and we save that last piece. We hide it.
Yeah.
And so they get done, and we find some kid that's, really engaged or somebody that's a little bit shy, and we give them this last piece. We name the last piece Mallory. And she named Mallory after Mallory Likes Dimmitt, who runs the Florida Wildlife Corridor Foundation, a nonprofit that we work with quite a bit. So we give Mallory to some little kid, and that little kid gets to put it in. And before they do, they say, "What is this piece shaped like?" And they say, "A person, a gingerbread man, Florida man." Like, they got all these answers, but it's a person. You can't do conservation without people. So we love to talk about panthers, and we love to talk about bears and gopher tortoises and scrub jays and deer. But the fact is, it's going to take people to keep Florida wild. It's going to take that way of life stuff to keep Florida wild. And so we put the last piece in and everybody claps. And then what we do is we take all the kids down to Flamingo on the map, not physically to Flamingo, but we take them down to Flamingo on the map and we let them walk from Flamingo all the way to Alabama and they have to stay on the green the whole way. And so it gives them this tangible way to see. They always ask, like, they say, what's the white? It's actually like a light brown because it's plywood, the
Yeah.
puzzle is. But they're like, what's the white? And we're like, that's where all the houses are. That's where the Targets are and the Walmarts and the shopping centers and the car lots and the everything else. That's where you live and where I live is in the white. But all the green is where the wildlife is. And I'm simplifying a little bit. We're talking with third graders and fourth graders. We have a much more complex. You dogs wanting to get in on
Yeah,
this.
my dog wants to walk it too.
We have a much more complex conversation with like we do it with high schoolers or summer camps, or we've taken it to colleges and like college students put it together before. But it's this program that's so unique, it's so tangible for a kid to be able to walk on that. And they look back and they're like, what's the difference between the dark green and the light green? And we tell them, well, the dark green's protected and the light green isn't yet. But the light green is where the cows are, or the light green is where the hunters are, or the light green is where the farms are. That program has touched so many lives. Like I get misty eyed just talking about it
Yeah.
because it's so special to see all these kids out there. And man, they are in it. And then at the end, what we do is we get them all from, Flamingo to Alabama. They go to the Floribama in my mind. And and then we stage them all up in Alabama and Georgia, and we take a picture of the state and we have them all yell Florida on one, two, three. I bet you in my phone I got 200 videos of kids yelling Florida. And it's just everybody that goes, man. Like I said, it's hard to talk about it and not get choked up a little bit. Everybody that goes and works on it and does this, like, can you just inject this into my veins? Like, this is
Yeah.
the most amazing thing I've ever been a part of. So that's a program we're really proud of, and we really want to grow that. Um, we've taken it to probably 30 schools in the last year. And a buddy of mine, to show you how there's somewhere you had a question about getting involved. A buddy of mine that's a woodworker reached out to me and he said, hey man, is there anything I could do for you guys? Could I make something for you to raffle off? And I said, his name's Cody Gamble. Awesome dude. I said, Cody, is there any chance you could make me a puzzle of the state of Florida? And he's like, absolutely. How big do you want? I said, 20 feet by 20 feet. I didn't get a text back for about 8 hours. And I finally got a text back. He's like, yeah, we can do that. When do you need it by? And I was like, well, I mean, if we're just making stuff up, like we're just doing magic at this point, like any chance I could have it in 3 weeks? Done. And so, he went into his community and he found somebody that could come out there and they freehand sketched Florida because we couldn't get something high enough to do like a projector.
Yeah.
We couldn't get a projector high enough over the plywood to do it with the tractors and lifts and everything we had. We couldn't get it done right. Um, he got an artist to come out and freehand sketch Florida for
Oh
us.
my gosh.
And then him and his wife and his buddies, like they stayed out there and they hand painted the corridor on it. And I'll never forget there was a scientist the first time we put it together, and the scientist goes, I don't think Lake Kissimmee is exactly this shape. And I said, I don't think Washington County's on this map. Like I just think like there's some gaps there, but it's representatively close enough for the message that we're trying to
Yeah.
preach to these kids, which is conservation matters. You can do conservation. Humans are required for conservation. And if you want to keep Florida wild, all of us are going to take part in how we do it.
Yeah.
And it's the most powerful thing I think I've ever seen. We had a friend of mine come from the wildlife corridor one day, and God, I can't talk about it without getting misty-eyed. I'm serious. She said, we've termed it puzzle magic in our office, what you guys are doing. And she's like, I had to come see it for myself. And she's like, it really is magic. Like, these kids don't know who Mallory is. They just know there's a gingerbread piece missing that's shaped like a person. And when you walk up and hand it to that kid grins like you just gave them a horse or a pony. They hug it, they hold on to it, they treasure, and they are wrapped in attention about what you're talking about. And it's just, you talk about objectives and things that we're working on right now that get me excited. That's one that I just can't get enough of. Like I said, if I could do that all day, every day, that'd be all I ever did.
That's awesome. dude.
So,
Is Payne's Prairie part of the wildlife corridor?
oh,
That's what
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
thought. I
absolutely.
thought they had a sign going to Gainesville that
Yep.
there's a big sign of it. Because I spent a good amount of time at UF. Me and
Okay.
I had a buddy that lived in Valdosta, and it was like an hour drive for both of us, maybe an hour 45 for him. We'd meet at in Gainesville and just hang out.
Right.
And he was the only dude that like what I was friends with that lived like somewhat close to me when I lived in Florida. So we go to UF and have just get like a hotel room for the night and hang out and do what you do in Gainesville.
Yep.
Watch football and and consume
If
some
if anyone's
supplements.
parents are watching, yeah, watch football, maybe consume an adult beverage and study.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. But let's see what's been like one of the toughest challenges you guys have faced, whether it's like regulatory, political, or logistical.
I'll tell you what the toughest challenge we face is just online bullshit.
Yeah,
People, you know that Theodore Roosevelt quote? So I work with an organization called the International Order of Theodore Roosevelt. I consult with them on state rights to fish and hunt.
yeah,
Um, and so one of their kind of slogan is the IOTR, International Order of Theodore Roosevelt, stand in the arena. And his most famous quote is the man in the arena quote, where he talks about it's not the critic that counts, it's the man who's in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who, if he fails while daring greatly. Man, when I go online and I see some of these just fly by night grifter influencers that came out of nowhere and they want to talk about I'm anti-development, we're going to stop developing in Florida, that's what we need to do, and suddenly they got 500,000 followers, and it is like you could not think your way out of a wet paper
right.
bag. And you're going to sit here, and all you're doing is making my life harder. At the end of the day, all you're really doing is making my life harder. And I don't draw a salary from All Florida or anything else. Like honestly, like we don't bring in enough money to do that. We offset some gas and some travel, but most of it's out of our pockets when we go. Um, but the end of the day, these are people out there selling bumper stickers or whatever. They want to
Yeah,
reform the FWC or they want to do this or they want to do that. And they're anonymous accounts. They're people that won't reveal their identities and they're just running their mouth.
yeah.
And they're the critics that do not count. They're just sitting on the sidelines, lobbing things in. I'm driving to Clewiston right now. I'm gonna spend 2 nights in a hotel. I'm gonna eat at the only restaurant in Clewiston, which is the Beef O'Brady's. And I'm going to do that because I'm going to weigh in on Lake Okeechobee and the water levels in the lake and how good the lake looks right now
It
because we're
looks
getting
fantastic.
submerged. It looks amazing right now. I'm going to weigh in on trapping regulations. I'm going to weigh in on some marine fishery stuff, sea trout regulations, oyster reopenings. I'm doing all that to make sure that my state stays true and clean and it's influenced and I'm in the room to make sure the decisions they're made are the decisions I want or I'm going to influence those decisions. And then I got, for lack of a better term, assholes running their mouth online all the
Yeah,
time, getting retweeted, reshared, everything else, and they ain't got a clue what they're talking about.
I
I've never seen them
yeah.
darken the door of a meeting in their life,
I
and they're out there and people will send me their videos like, did you see what this guy said? And I'm like, I don't care what that guy said, to be honest. Like, I don't, he's not real to me. He
exactly.
doesn't exist. Because if you want to exist, come down here in the arena, pick up a shift, pick up a weapon, stand your ground, and let's roll.
Yeah,
But I promise you it's not as easy as you say it is on social media.
100%. Dude, I can't
I
stand
promise you it's not as easy as you say on social
I
media.
can't stand that shit, dude. I think like a lot of industries, whether it's sports, it's like I played a lot of sports growing up. I'm a big sports junkie. Fishing, hunting, influencers is what single handedly destroyed some of these industries. It's
I like to say it this way. You're a sports guy. Did you ever listen to sports radio?
yeah, I still do.
Okay. I grew up like I had a 77 Chevy Scottsdale and it only got AM. So it had to be sports talk radio. That's what I listened to. Um, so you'd get the callers, right? You'd have two hosts,
Yeah,
And the host, like one of them would play for the Bucks and one of them would play for the Rays or the Phillies or Red Sox or something.
Yeah.
They both played professional sports, so they're qualified, they're experts. And then the whole show is John from Tampa and Sal from Brandon and Travis from Winter Haven calling in and telling you why we need to fire this coach or we need to do this with the defense or we need to do that with the offense or whatever else. Social media is all those guys with a following.
Yes.
That's what it is. It is all those guys with a
Oh
following.
yeah.
And it's created this energy that just makes it very difficult for some of us to operate in good faith. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to this FWC commission meeting. Prior to the last commission meeting, there was always a thing called items not on the agenda, where you could walk in there and you could comment on anything not on the agenda. Now, you can also approach the commissioners or staff or whatever and talk to them off to the side, but sometimes it's nice to do it on the record on camera,
Yeah.
because you may not get somewhere the other way. Um, that's no longer part of the commission. Like they've taken it away. And part of the reason they've taken it away is some of these influencers went in there and made it into a TV show.
Jesus.
And they went in there and they grandstanded it. And they haven't, that's not what FWC would say, but I mean, it correlated with people wearing their own cameras and microphones to record themselves at the podium to we no longer had items not on the agenda. So if there's a lake and I'm concerned about an herbicide treatment on a lake, I can't walk to the podium and bring it up because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
You've killed my ability to do conservation work that I've been doing for way before you ever discovered
Yeah.
Instagram, and I'll be doing way after you're done with Instagram. Like you have completely messed this thing up, and they do it over and over and over again. And the lack of critical thinking on social media by the public, by good people,
Yeah.
drives me crazy because they just fall in line behind those folks and you just see it kind of snowball and it's like, wait, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like this is nonsensical that you're following this guy even or this girl even because they're not engaged. They have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know that? Because I went to 58 commission meetings in a row. Over the last 10 years I've missed two.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is. Oh my
It's
gosh. It
crazy.
makes me incredulous to think about.
It's literally like I still listen. Nah, Felger and Maz is off the air now. It's a Red Sox. It was Felger and Maz was the worst one where it's like I'm a big Pats fan. I grew up in New England, and we actually lived in Massachusetts. Moved down to um we moved down to Lake Mary, and then my dad's job got us transferred back up to Massachusetts. When we lived in Lake Mary, we had season tickets to the Bucks, and my dad's job gave them to us. It was like the year they won the Super Bowl. They beat the Oakland Raiders, and that was the one where Mike Allstott was on the Heat. Remember A Train?
Oh,
People were like all up in arms about that team, but
number 40 coming at you.
yep, A Train. But dude, like it's insane. Like that's the one thing. Like a lot. Like I get asked like, "Oh, are you an influencer?" I'm like, "No, I'm the farthest fucking thing from an influencer." Pardon my French. I'm like, "Yeah, do I have sponsors?" But like, I've I've worn Free Fly for years. I've worn Bahio sunglasses since college. I know the stuff's good, but it's like I'm not gonna shove the stuff down your throat that I believe in, you know. And that's like the whole influencer culture kind of thing. Is it's like force it, force it, force it, even if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, you know.
Yep.
It's crazy, and it's like
I
it's
tend to
insufferable, honestly.
I tend to hope authenticity is going to win out. And I think the advent of AI is going to push for more authenticity to win out
Oh yeah,
because there's influencers now that are out there that are not even real. Like the persona that they are is AI.
yeah,
And like, okay, you're basically following a cartoon at this point. Like that's not real.
yeah.
And I think that's my hope is that with AI, people are going to become more skeptical of what they see.
Oh
So
yeah,
they're going to gravitate towards the real stuff.
yeah.
That's what I hope, at
Same
least.
here. And it's like I think that's the thing that like we do need to preach is authenticity. It's like
Yes.
more people kind of like I'm a dude. It's like I'm a weird guy. It's like I'm people are like, dude, like, why the hell do you wear old Randy Travis t-shirts when you're 29 years old? It's like, you know what? It's just like I want to be different. I don't want to be a cookie cutter dude. And
Right.
it's like that's a thing these days where it's like, man, like come like be yourself. It's not a crime to be yourself. And it's like I'm like, you know what? I'm not. If somebody doesn't like myself, then fuck it. you know,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I've looked at it. But it's like that's a big thing that influencers I think are very concerned about is their public perception. And it's like, you know what?
Oh yeah.
It's like, you know what?
But how many clicks can I get?
Yeah,
Like, it's an easy recipe to say stop development and I'm going to get clicks.
yeah,
It's an easy recipe to say stop spraying and I'm going to get clicks. It's an easy recipe to say save the sea trout and I'm going to get
yeah,
clicks. It doesn't make it right. It's a reciprocal thing, and it just it drives me crazy. So
yeah.
it doesn't drive me crazy. It's just I you asked kind of like what my biggest concern was, or the big like that is to me a growing concern that I wish more people in our space were paying attention to.
I agree.
Because there's a lot of grifting going on and a lot of misleading going on. Because at the end of the day, they're still getting the clicks and likes.
Exactly. And it's like a big thing I think with the grifting too is it's like if you get handed something for free, guess what? Of course you're gonna say it's the best thing since sliced friggin' bread. It's
That's
like, you know
exactly right.
what? Instead of being like, hey, this is the best thing since sliced bread, you know what probably means more to that company at the end of the day? If you're like, hey, this blank isn't great. Don't sit there and blow smoke up their ass and tell them that it's the best blank that you've ever put in your hands when they're
Yep.
probably going to have somebody else or five other people be like, hey, no
Yep.
offense, take this blank and shove it up your ass. It sucks. And it's nuts how that shit happens. It's nuts. If you give somebody something for free, they're automatically going to say it's awesome.
Oh yeah.
But let's see. I mean, we've really hit on every single question that I've had here.
I feel good about it.
Yeah, me too. But
Well, we haven't done our playlist.
that's what the one I was about to ask. So
All right.
at the end of at the end of every podcast episode, I ask. I like putting this one on there to give people a heads up. I accidentally didn't a couple weeks ago. People were like, "Dude, I like can't do it." They're like, "I listen to too much music." But let's see. Dang, man, you're going nuts, dude. Let's see how to find the playlist. All right, here it is. What's your five songs, sir?
All right. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
First, I would pick "Wish You Were Here" by Pink Floyd.
Great song. I love
One
it.
of my these are solid. Everything I'm about to pick is solid.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Ah, shit. I clicked add to the wrong playlist. That's
All
my
right. Are you adding them as I'm doing? Are you adding them?
Yes, sir.
All right. Second one I'd pick is "She's a Rainbow" by the Rolling Stones.
Another good one. Yeah, all right, solid so far.
Okay. This is where the wheels come off. Third one I would pick. This is my probably my all-time favorite song is "The Chair" by George Strait.
Oh yeah,
So it doesn't have any real meaning to me. I just really like that song.
I
I
do too.
really like that song.
There was a new guy that did a version of it that was pretty good too. It
And
was a cover
no
version.
one should ever do a version
No,
of any George Strait song ever.
it
Like let's
yeah,
be clear about that.
it sounded good, but I was like, still doesn't do it for me for the King George version. But like, I was like,
All right.
not bad.
For my fourth pick, I'm gonna go with "Something to Believe In" by Poison. I don't know how much hairband music you have on there, but "Something to Believe In," Brett Michaels crushes that. Like it's a banger.
Heck
It's a
yeah.
banger. Check it out.
Let's see.
And then this is, I think I might go into ground here that has not been delved in yet.
Okay.
Did you know that I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan?
No,
I'm a giant Taylor Swift
dude. I'll
fan.
be honest with you. I'm a huge. I like the new album. I'm a huge Sabrina Carpenter fan.
I love Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah,
Oh
heck
yeah,
yeah, dude. Let's go.
I like what I like. Okay, like
Same
people are
here.
like, you're not allowed to like that. I'm like, who says? So, um, I'm a giant Swiftie from back in the day. my favorite Taylor Swift song is "Timeless," which is from the vault. So you just have to add that to the list, and everybody's going to be mad about it because I know Taylor gets some hate, but I will stand Taylor all day, every day. Like I am here for it. So bring it on.
Dude, yeah, I like a lot of her stuff. Like, especially the new stuff. Dude, what are you chewing on back there? Yeah, some of the dude, I like the new stuff, other than the one talking about Travis Kelsey's piece, but
Look, good for Travis Kelsey,
yeah,
man.
good for Travis.
All Travis is everywhere. Like let's
Yeah.
roll.
And dude, like what's kind of cool about it too is like what I've seen. It's like I'm a big NFL fan. Um it's got more people into the NFL. I mean, Taylor Swift dating Travis Kelsey.
Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. Let's see what I got. Um my first one was Blue Sky by the Allman Brothers.
Love it.
Um Man Child by Sabrina Carpenter.
Heck yeah. Okay.
um and then I'm a big Megan Maroney fan as well.
Okay.
The country artist, and then
Yeah.
the new one was 6 months later. I had that one. That's a good one. Um, that was three, and then I had Blue Clear Sky, George Strait,
George Strait.
and then Ain't a Bad Life, Thomas Rhett and Jordan Davis. I like the beginning of it
Love it.
because it was it
I love it.
talks about the dogs, or it says something like didn't bag a biggin, but I saw one, and then didn't win the lotto, but the dogs won. And I was like, I like that because my girlfriend and I are big Georgia fans.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, dude, but that's all I got for you. Want to give any last thanks and plugs before I let you go?
No, I really appreciate you having me on. I would like to mention Javier, our mutual friend, for
Dude,
connecting
he's the
us.
man.
Marsh Sessions. If y'all aren't following Marsh Sessions, Javi is a great dude
He is.
and beloved, and like please check out Marsh Sessions. He's been a real good friend of all Florida's and of mine for a long time, and I'm a big fan of everything they do. You want to build community, they do it the
Oh
right way.
yeah, him and the Nature Coast guys, or the Historic Coast guys.
Yes, Historic Coast Outfitters,
Yeah,
Justin
yeah,
and
Justin and
Mike,
all those
and
guys.
all of them,
Crawl.
they're amazing.
Yeah, they're
Yep.
awesome. Um,
So
big
awesome,
day,
man. Well,
big day for Javi. The Jags traded for Jacoby Myers.
oh wow,
Yeah, but
he'll be excited.
oh yeah, I'm actually about to text him about that here in a second. But I gotta let some
Awesome, brother.
tracks upload. It shouldn't take too long. So I'll click.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Yeah, dude. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Trout Wrangler Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Garrity. As you know, this right here is the vibe curator, Mr. Maverick. You have any words for us, sir? Got a really cool episode today. A lot of conservation on this episode. Mr. Travis from allflorida.org. But before we get into this interview, I want to thank the companies that helped make this happen. Bahio Sunglasses, Afueta Coffee, Free Fly Apparel, Temple Fork, Riversmith, and Loon. But oh shoot, I forgot to talk about nah. We'll wait for another episode for that. But you know, until we get into this episode with Mr. Travis Thompson, see you later. Mr. Travis Thompson's up next. That was such an awkward intro, but you know what? We're going to leave it in here.